All right. This message is for Jessie Lee Peterson, Mr. Jessie, I really enjoy your podcast or radio shows or your YouTube videos. I like that you interview comedians also, which I'm not a comedian. I work a boring job and play music for fun, but I believe I'm one of the whites that may have a unique perspective that perhaps you haven't considered. So I have a question. God's order of God the Father, the man looks to God as the Father, the woman, the wife, looks to the man, children look to the woman. That's the order, that's a perfectly logical order. But my question is, why do you speak with such certainty that there's no human beings alive that could possibly communicate with you on your show or podcast or whatever? Why is it that you never speak about those families that have been raised and brought up in the proper order, the very order that you suggest is paramount? And I've been thinking a lot about this, man. And I love your show. I think that I love your sincerity. I love you never get rattled. You practice what you preach. But I know you're 70 or in your 70s, so there's still a little bit of time that left where you could perhaps modify your message and narrow your message to its premise without adding race into it. So quit asking the questions, do we need more white babies? That's a racially dividing question. And yes, white people wrote the Declaration of Independence. And yes, they also had slaves, which is a moral outrage. No human should own another human being like a dog or an animal or something. So some sensitivity to that would be appropriate, even though no one alive today is to blame personally for these problems. But we've, as a human family, have inherited this dilemma. And here's what you don't seem to ever be upfront about, is that your message is racial, because you're not all, most, not all, but most blacks are X, Y, and Z. Not all. But how come there's not a not all for people who are grown humans that have been raised with the proper order, that you preach, or maybe not preach, but I guess you are a preacher, but basically you're, as far as I can tell, you and Eckhart Tolle are preaching the same message, or delivering the same message, which is to minimize thought. And I don't think using phrases like the Great White Hope or Big Mama Michelle ate up all the ribs, or any of that stuff is part of the truth. Because, I mean, I learned on Saturday Night Live a long time ago, Will Ferrell portrayed a character and asked the question, if the moon were made of ribs, would you eat it? And I would eat it and wash it down with a cool, tall Budweiser. And, Michelle probably ate a lot too, but she'd eat all of them. We still got ribs. I mean, I'm a white dude in Arkansas. I had ribs a couple weekends ago at my mom and dad's house in Pumpkin Bend, Arkansas, which, by the way, I would love to share with you a synchronous situation that occurred in my life just today, involving my contemplation of you. And I really, I love you, man. I like it. I think what you're a good force in the world. I just don't think there is a contradiction at a certain point in your message, and I've never heard another human being confront you on it, or I've never heard you include that in a description. I may have not seen all your videos, but I've watched quite a bit, and it's a profound message, because let me tell you, I was thinking Saturday that I can think of two families in my entire existence that the message that you're always delivering about resentment for the mother, and then going back to the father, like this reoccurring theme that is reoccurring in families of all races. It defies race. You seem to be particularly honed in on the black community, and rightfully so, because the civil rights movement, in your eyes, have damaged the black family, and you grew up in an era that preceded that, and the family was intact, and all that. Like, there's no arguing that keeping the family together is the most important thing. And this is coming from a guy that has two children that unfortunately, I'm not able to have every day, but I have them 3 weekends a month and half the summer, and they know me and my family. And my family, by the way, my mother and father, my brother and my sister, we're all still alive. And I would be willing to bet we were all willing to talk to you and answer any questions you would have, to question the legitimacy of what I'm saying. That I am a product of a family that maintain the order in which you are pointing to, but seem to have no belief exists. And it does exist. And here's the kicker, is that even when it exists and the proper order is maintained, we're all still human, and we're all dealing with a sinful warfare that is perpetrated upon every human being on the face of the planet, even you. Even, I know you hold your composure very well, and I'm not trying to get you to lose that. I don't think anyone could, because I think you enter into uh, every conversation uh, with a resolute confidence that you will not lose your cool. But, everyone has that still small voice. And I would be willing to bet you do too. And so there's a grace that God provides. You have to believe that. There has to be grace. So it can't be, I've heard you say some things that I guess wouldn't be as difficult to take in if it didn't seem overwhelming. I've never heard, and maybe you have said this and I just hadn't seen it, but I've never heard, I've watched a lot of your videos, and not near close to all of them, but I'm not an amateur watching your videos. And I've never I've heard you talk about the order, and what happened was Eve went to the market and she was blah 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 blah. And, like, you got this whole story about, and it's funny and it's true. I'm not saying that I believe the story in Genesis is actual historical truth, but I'm saying that the message is true. But why don't you? Here's the question: why is it that you have no recognition or any acknowledgement regularly, let's say, or commonly, a clause that there could be people that are actually raised up in this order and still are humans and struggle and have to be cautious and careful and recognize that they have this battle within them that's not their fault. It's like we're the fucking battleground between good and evil. Human beings, our hearts, our consciousness, we are affected by a duality of good and evil. Everybody. And you can't present yourself as Jesus, as sinless. You can't. You can present yourself as enlightened, and enlightened to the point where you transcend the worry of what a lot of people might call a sin. You can define sin however you want, but no man is free from emotion, and neither are you. You say you are, but that no one, if they're to say that emotions are useless is to say that art is useless, or gospel music, or blues music, or Motown, which I know you like. I've heard you actually sing. So that's emotional. And using phrases like the Great White Hope and Big Mama Michelle, or whatever you call her, those are those are needless words to add to this proper narrative that you're helping people all around with. Really, I mean, I really like you. I just this is not an assault on you personally. I think I would really love to talk to you. It actually left you like 2 messages yesterday on your number, and ironically there was a female which sounded like a black lady. You know, I know you'll understand that. You can kind of tell, and maybe she's not. Maybe she's white, but she sounded black, and was the answering machine. And I left 2 messages, and I got interrupted and said both times it said, "You have 10 seconds to complete your message," and I was kind of thrown off guard and tried to rush my words, but if you look, you'll see it. And anyway, I love you, dude. I like what you're doing, and I just have I got to square some things with you just to know you're for real. Know you're for real, because you're definitely using your platform as a calling to make money and tell the truth. And those two things, you know, only way you know for sure someone has no ulterior motive is if they're not making money off of their truth. And you certainly are making money off of your truth. You know, I know you need more. You had a request for all the whites to send you money when you had a caller recently, and that was funny. That was funny as hell. But but anyway, I'll tell you this: I ain't a bird up.